Right now, travelers at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport dealing with more flight cancellations after chaos erupts in Mexico following the killing of a cartel leader. Atlanta News First, Niamani Watson joining us here in studio. And Niamani, some airlines say these disruptions might actually last for a few days.
That's right. Today, Delta canceled a couple of flights to and from Puerto Vallarta. That's one of the areas impacted by civil unrest in Mexico. Some people are stuck there, while others we spoke with heading to Mexico say they were turned around mid-flight. Videos taken by an Atlanta resident currently in Mexico shows smoke billowing over buildings and vacation rentals in Puerto Vallarta. The violence erupted Sunday after Mexican authorities said cartel leader known as El Mencho, one of the top traffickers of fentanyl, was killed during a military operation in Jalisco, causing roadblocks, burning vehicles, and reported explosions. Airlines, including Atlanta-based Delta, started canceling flights yesterday to and from Puerto Vallarta and Guadalajara.
We got on a flight to go to Puerto Vallarta. We got not even halfway there, and the guy got on the airplane and said, "There's weird things going on in Puerto Vallarta, so we're going to turn around." And that was it. There's no more information.
Landon Chappell says he was headed there for a 2-week vacation with his family.
Terrible. I mean, I've got Airbnbs booked, a whole bunch of adventures.
Today, Delta flights at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport to and from Puerto Vallarta were also canceled. Meanwhile, most Delta flights to and from Guadalajara have resumed. The U.S. State Department still urging Americans in certain Mexican states to shelter in place, saying all ride shares and some businesses have suspended operations. And we have reached out to the Consulate of Mexico here in Atlanta for comment. We are waiting to hear back. Meanwhile, Delta says flights could be affected through Thursday. Airlines encourage people to continue to check their flight status.
Niamani, thank you.